Hello and welcome to
Bitchin Christians
episode. So we've had some feedback.
Oh yeah, you know, we have had feedback and I have to say we really don't care about your feedback.
Did we ask for feedback?
I think we did.
Did we?
And that was where we went
mistake.
wrong.
That was our only mistake.
Yeah, it was. Oh well, I mean, it is well-meaning and I understand you're trying to improve the quality of what we're putting out here, but honestly, we really can't help the way we are, can we?
We can only just be ourselves, and that's the whole point of this.
Just like there was no video at all. That's really what's going on here. It's just Lisa and I having a conversation.
It is. Drinking coffee.
Yes, coffee.
That's right.
Yeah. What did you want to bitch about?
Oh my gosh, really? You have to ask me that question? I have been keeping notes in my phone. And I have notes like this long of things to bitch about. And I said to Marny, what are we going to bitch about this week? And she says, well, I only have one thing.
I wasn't putting notes in my phone, clearly.
Apparently,
because I've forgotten everything else that annoyed me this week.
I'm more of a bitch.
All I can remember is the thing that happened yesterday. I can't remember anything from before then.
And what was that, dare I ask?
Well, so my late husband Roderick, who died 5.5 years ago,
goodness, yeah.
I've been trying to get $57, now $58, out of CIBC. Had all the paperwork, the death certificate, the will showing that I was inheriting everything. Yeah. And so they're like, well, who are these other co-executors? And I said, well, they declined to be co-executors. And they're like, well, we need to see that paperwork. Why? Because all you need to know is that he's dead and I'm inheriting everything, and then you should just give me the money. No, they wouldn't do it. And I had moved in the interim, couldn't find the paperwork. So this just lagged all this time. So then, I don't know, a couple of months ago, somebody phoned me from the CIBC here in Chinanis, and he was new there and wanted to know, could he help me with anything? And I'm like, yes, you can get me my $58. And he's like, oh, sorry. Okay, I'll get you an appointment with the bank manager. So I went in to see the manager and she's like, oh, we can get this straightened out. Don't you worry. I'm like, okay, as long as you're not going to be wanting the two people who were co-executors to once again go see lawyers and pay money to, because they'll probably pay more money than I'm getting back. Yesterday, the day before, they called and said, you can come in and, you know, it's all settled. And I'm like, oh, great. So I went in there yesterday and I had to sign a bunch of paperwork. And then the bank manager wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, okay. So then she says to me, you know that account that you opened, the savings account? And I'm like, yeah. She said, well, it's in arrears. And I'm like, why? So she said, well, because you tried to pay your hydro bill and there was no money in there. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't pay the hydro bill. I don't even have an account with hydro. So it was not me. And she goes, well, it's in arrears $45 because you tried to take money.
No way.
I know. And I'm like, okay, this is why I don't bank here. Because you make stupid mistakes like this. So after some haranguing back and forth, she finally agreed to just close the account and get rid of the $45 charge, because that would have left me with $12. So, and then she said, yeah, I'm like, so am I going to get a check? And she said, well, I'll have to call you because I have to send all the paperwork off now. So I still didn't get the money.
Oh, for goodness
all that time.
Sake.
Isn't that crazy?
Wouldn't they owe you interest after all this money?
Well, that was why it went from $57 to $58.
Oh.
Come on, you just got to walk faster. Faster, look, faster. Get them
faster.
moving. You're not.
Listen, it's just like...
Look, one after the other, a bit quicker. Quicker. See?
Then I take shorter steps.
And I'm just going boing, boing,
Yes,
boing,
well,
boing.
I have a banking story too.
Okay,
Bizarrely.
let's hear it.
Bizarrely. Well, a couple of years ago, we had a young fellow come and stay with us who was recovering from addiction, and he ended up he didn't have a bank account. So his bank account got attached to my bank account, and this was a couple of years ago. So when we started the bank account, I had to make a username, and I never do my online banking with the username. So I made this username. I'm going to not use the name of the person, okay? But because that would give you my username for my bank. But anyway,
no problem.
Anyway, it was a bit of a standing joke that I was this dude's brain, and so rather than so I was going to use the username Brain for Bob. Let's just say, okay. But I thought that would just be a bit rude, so I made the username Brian for Bob.
Love it.
Okay, so then I add a password. Fine, beautiful. Anyway, I never really had to use it because I never checked his online banking because he did that himself, and that was fine. So then our accounts got separated about a year ago, and he's flying and doing his own thing because he's fabulous. And so I have been doing my online banking using the last 8 digits of my card number and a code. So last weekend I went to go online and it said, no, this is the incorrect information. You have a username. And I was like, username? I've never set up a username. It's always the last 8 digits of my...
Forgetting about Brian.
So then I phoned and 3 times, phoned 3 separate times because we were trying to get this sorted out, and I swore up and down that I didn't have a username. I'd never set up a username for my bank account because I hadn't actually, technically. And the guy, I said, well, what is the username that you've got on file then? He said, well, there's definitely a username. I said, well, it must be an imposter that set up this username because it was not me, right? And he went, well, it is a bit of a funny one. And I was like, oh, someone's hacked into my account. Is my money still there? I flew into a panic. Like, you better just check all my accounts. And anyway, so I said, well, tell me what the username is. And he said, well, because we'd kind of got into a bit of a rapport. This guy was very patient and very lovely, actually. And he went, well, I'll spell it out for you. It's Brian. And I was like, Brian? I don't even know anyone called Brian. I was like, somebody's hacked into my account. And I'm like, who is this person? I am going to go and find them and I'm going to hunt them down. And they're going to be so sorry that they've messed with my banking and set up a user account. And he's going, well, it gets a bit more strange. He went, it's FFORBOB. And I'm like, Forbob? Brian Forbob? Who the heck is Brian Forbob? Is that one of my patients? Is that somebody who's been to church? Is that someone who's come to see the band? Who could this possibly be? And then Chris is sat next to me and he's going, Brian Forbob? Brian Forbob? And we're cracking our brains. And then I was like, Brian Forbob! And I burst out laughing, and then I told the guy at the bank what had happened and why it was Brian and
instead
not
of
Brain,
Brain,
because it was kind of a standing joke, Brain for Bob.
I could find.
Oh, good.
Smallest, tightest t-shirt, did you say?
Yeah, the smallest, tightest one, because that's what we're
There's some scary looks around here.
Yeah, there are some scary looks around here.
And I wore my beautiful.
It's a party all
Pretty
about
good.
you.
Well, if I'd known, I'd have dressed up.
Actually, I have a funny story about Brian Brain.
Oh, do you?
Yes. When I had my old business in Vancouver, my partner and I don't know, we were like reading the newspaper or something one day at lunch, and there was an ad there for a job, and if you wanted to apply for the job, please send your resume or whatever to Brain. It was obviously supposed to be Brian, but somebody had done a little typo there. Well, we howled. We thought it was so funny. So we made up this big cover letter to go with our supposed resume. And we said, Dear Brain. And then we kept mentioning his name, Brain, all the way through the letter. Thank you so much, Brain. Hope to hear from you soon, Brain. And then we just peed our pants. We faxed it to him because those were in the days of faxing. Anyway, it was just, one of those funny things. Oh, let's hear
I
it.
have a couple of interesting.
Okay, good. Let's hear it.
A couple of interesting stories from the hospital, and one involved a frozen chicken. It was the very last frozen chicken at Marks and Spencer's in the UK, and it was back before CT scanning. Really, that's how old I am. And so we were still X-raying people's skulls, and I had to X-ray a lady's skull because these 2 ladies had a stand-up fight in Marks and Spencer's over the last frozen turkey.
Chicken.
Actually, I say chicken. It's a turkey. Last frozen turkey, and the one hit the other one round the head
with the turkey.
With the turkey, yes, and actually did fracture her skull. So that was
Really? Wow.
unbelievable. And that was around the same time that after a Christmas party, a couple got really annoyed with each other, and the woman decided to take off her stiletto-heeled shoe, it was the 80s, and beat him over the head with it. And he came for Xray off his skull too.
And he had to tell a story of how it got
Well, it was awful
injured.
because the staff came up and said to me, for Pete's sake, whatever you do, don't, like his wife, we don't know where she is, but he's there with blood and stuff and needed an X-ray, and I had to take him on the stretcher. And they said, whatever you do, if you see a hide nor hair of this woman, don't let her anywhere near him. The police are looking for her and it could end badly. So I'm taking him up the corridor for his X-ray, and lo and behold, she comes in.
Oops.
And she comes running across the way to him. Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. She's going like this. I'm so sorry. I just lost my temper. And he's lying there going, it's okay. Well, no, it's okay. She beat you around the head with her stilettos. What are you talking about? And when I took the X-rays, he actually had dents in his skull. It was a big.
Wow. Exciting. My work stories are not nearly so exciting.
I know, it's such exciting stories, but it's not as bad as. Well, actually, no. Actually, I can't say. Our church's only mistake at Christmas one year was asking Burness Family Robinson to do an updated version of the Nativity story, and Caleb and Jordan decided that I would be the burly innkeeper, and so.
Not Mary.
No, I had to be like London, an East London burly innkeeper. No, I wasn't Mary. I think Jordan was Mary, and I think Caleb was
Age
Joseph.
8.
And I can't remember what Chris was. He's probably the angel Gabriel. I don't know. But anyway,
wow.
I was the burly innkeeper. So Caleb decided he was going to give me some tattoos to make me look more authentic. And before we got up at church to do our rendition of the Nativity story, he gave me some tattoos on my forearms, and one said "Jewish girls rock," and the other one said "Jesus was here." And, but I didn't notice at the time that it was permanent ink, and so I spent the whole of Christmas with Jewish Girls Rock on my
long sleeves.
What do you think, you Chris's?
Excuse me?
Unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, I cannot answer that right now.
Christmas has its effect on everyone.
Especially the Christmas.
Your hair looks lovely, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, I finally reached the end of my Latisse treatment. The 16 weeks was up.
It does look longer, actually, I've got to say. How's the weight going?
Of my eyelashes? They're very heavy now.
Sorry,
so
back
long.
to the eyelashes. I'm jumping around
Yes.
like a jumpy thing.
So this week I had to start doing it like every second day, but I could not remember, and I did it every day until last night, and then I was like, I'm only supposed to be doing this like 2 or 3 times a week now to keep it up. You don't have to do it quite as often, so then the money lasts, the stuff lasts longer. So I finally figured that out because I'm kind of vacuous about what I'm doing to be more vacuous.
So you remember I had got contact lenses, and one got stuck to the shoe of a patient and disappeared off into oblivion. Well, I did speak to the optician about it. I went back for my appointment, and because I was not getting on with 2 of them, I could put one in my left eye, no problem. Bing, right eye, couldn't get it in. I'm very, very right-handed, so I think the left side of my brain was just like, you're trying to kill us. You're putting your finger in.
Even though it's your finger.
You're right. Dad, you're not doing this to me. You're not putting this thing in your.
Wow.
It was weird. It was really weird. Anyway, the left eye, bing, no problem at all. So my right brain apparently doesn't function at all on any level because it's just like a gelatinous blob.
Do whatever.
It's just
do whatever in my
like
eye.
Ravi Shankar. It's just too much. Anyway, so I went back and he said, well, why don't we try one? We'll do the monovision thing. So they give you, so one eye, so now I can see from my left eye, and my right eye is distance. And my brain apparently is going to catch up, but it hasn't caught up yet.
Anyway, and the weight? Yes, I lost 1/10 of a pound. And it showed up in my Fitness Pal.
Oh, did it?
Yes,
wow.
I lost 0.1 pounds this week.
Well, I had to bring in emergency measures because I got up to the heaviest I've ever been, 162 pounds.
Wow.
While I was doing keto. So that's not good, is it?
Wow.
And so I was like, right, that's it. We're getting up to go to the gym because me and Chris have been talking ourselves out of it every morning.
So you went this week?
Yeah, I went this week and I did yoga. And I talked to Jordan and she said intermittent fasting. And I was like, what is that? I'll try anything. I'll try. So now I'm doing keto. I'm going to the gym. I'm doing yoga. I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm eating no sugar. I'm eating no carbohydrates. I'm eating very few carbohydrates. I'm eating very little dairy.
And you lost 3 pounds.
And I lost 2 and a bit pounds. Yay!
Yay!
So, it's because my body doesn't know what's going on. It's like you're sticking things in your eye. You're just doing this crazy stuff. You're trying to...
You're not eating that.
You're not eating this, you're eating that. You're getting up for the gym. You're not getting up for the gym. I'm just trying to confuse it now. I'm confusing it into losing weight.
Let's do it. All right, so we'll say it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her. Goodbye.
Goodbye.